Welcome to Flowers by Katrina and my Christmas wreath making tutorial. So by now you will have received your kit. So I'm just going to go through everything that you will have in your kit. So we've got some moss. We also have some like a wire frame, some stub wires, and also some wire on the reel as well. Now we have lots of gorgeous green foliage, a nice mix of different textures. We've got spruce. We also have this lovely pinus and conifer. We've got ivy with lovely big berries on. So depending on what you ordered, you might have some holly. Very traditional holly with the berries, red berries. We also have the thistles. These are called orangium. They're a lovely sort of blue colour, and also a navy blue berry, which is viburnum. Again, depending on what you ordered, in your pack you might have oranges. We've got cinnamon sticks. Baubles, lots of baubles. What are very popular this year are these really cute wooden stars. Lots of you have ordered those. And you'll all have pine cones as well. So last of all, you'll need some scissors, your own scissors. Garden secateurs are absolutely fine. And that's everything. We are actually ready to start. Grab yourself a drink, maybe a mince pie. At my workshops, I usually have Christmas music playing, so that might be, you can do that as well. And yeah, we're ready to start. Right, we're going to start now by attaching the moss to the wire frame. You'll also need your wire on the reel as well. So we need to attach the wire to the frame, first of all. No right or wrong way of doing this. I'm just winding the wire around the outside of the frame. Okay, I'm going to take a large handful of the moss, position it on the frame, sort of wrap it around the sides slightly, and then I'm binding the moss on using the wire. So I've done that 3 times. And then we take another large handful. So it doesn't need to be too neat. It won't show, but I think the most important thing is making sure you pull that wire quite tight, because we don't want the wire, the moss falling off. And another large handful. What's great about this moss is it's a good base for attaching your foliage. And it's wet, and you can keep it wet throughout, you know, sort of over the Christmas period, just to keep your foliage looking fresh until the other side of Christmas. So what you do is you just keep going all the way around your ring until you've covered all of it. Okay, so there's your mossed ring all done. That's the not so nice part of wreath making done. So you'll still have your wire attached. So just get like a sort of good length on there, cut it off, and then just wind it round again, keeping it tight. And then what I do is I just sort of secure it by just sort of popping the wire back through the moss. Okay, so that's all done. You might just want to cut some of the moss away, just to sort of tidy it up a little bit. Okay, now we're ready to start adding the foliage. Right, now we're going to attach the foliage. So first of all, you need to attach the wire again. No right or wrong way of doing this. I just wind the wires around each other, pulling it tight. I think the most important thing is it's pulled tight because you don't want any of the foliage falling out. And then just stick the wire back through the moss and then you're ready to start. So we're going to make bunches of foliage. So I would use the spruce on every bunch. You've got lots of that. A bit of the conifer on this one. And I'm going to use a bit of the ivy. So you're going to position it on your wreath. And you're going to bind it on over the stems, pulling it tight each time. There we go. So I've done that twice. Then you're going to make your next bunch. So again, some spruce, and this time I'm going to use some pinus. And then if you're using these this holly and berries, then you can use a bit of that. For those of you that have ordered the viburnum and the thistle kit, we're going to be adding the viburnum and the thistles later on. So to start with, you'll just have the green foliage to start with. Okay, so next bunch. So you're positioning it, overlapping the last one, over the stems, covering the stems, and then binding it on over the stems twice. And then you just keep going all the way around. Let's have a bit of pinus this time. Some berries. Lovely, so positioning it over the stems of the last bunch and bind it on. And I'm doing that twice. There we go. So you can see it's starting to take shape. If you keep going all the way around. And there it is, there's your wreath. It's looking really lovely as it is without any decoration on, I think. Okay, so you'll still have your wire attached. So again, just good length, cut it off. Wrap it round a couple of times, keeping it really tight. You don't want your foliage falling out. And then just insert the wire into the moss. Take your ribbon. I'm going to show you how to do a fancy floristry bow, or if you'd rather, you can just do a standard bow the way that you would tie your shoelace. So this is the bow I'm going to show you. We're going to do 4 loops. So that's 1 loop. I'm going to fold it over into a second loop, and go in underneath with a 3rd loop, and then over the top with your 4th loop. Okay, so there are your tails. You're going to scrunch it together in the middle. Take a stub wire, wrap it around the bow in the centre, then wrap the 2 wires around each other. Okay, so there it is. So take your wreath, decide where you're going to put it on your wreath. You can put it at the bottom of the wreath or at the top. And then you're going to stab the wire all the way through, and then bend the wire over and stab it back through the moss, keeping it tight. Okay, and just shape your bow. It's wired at the edges, so it will make it easier. Take some scissors. These are fabric scissors, which will just make it a little bit easier to cut if you've got them. Okay, just snip the bottom of the bow just to cut them on a diagonal. And there we go, there's your bow and your wreath. Before we can attach our decoration to the wreath, I just need to show you how to wire all of the decorations. So some of them have been done for you, so the cinnamon sticks, the wooden stars, and also some of the baubles have already done, so that's good. So I'm going to demonstrate wiring this pine cone here. So you take a stub wire, you're going to wrap it around the bottom of the cone, and then, like we've been doing, just wrap the two wires around each other. So that's the pine cone done. Next we'll do the orange. Now these can sometimes be a bit difficult, so if the wire doesn't easily go through, you'll just need to make the hole with the scissors. There we go. About a quarter of the way through, bend it over and twist the wires together. Okay, so there's your orange. The bauble, so there's a little hole at the top. If you just insert the wire about a quarter of the way through, again bending it over and winding the two wires around each other. So if you ordered the viburnum and the thistle kit, you will have these. These shouldn't need to be wired. If you make sure you cut them on a diagonal, you'll be able to just insert them straight into the wreath and into the moss. I have a few decorations here that I'm going to now start adding to my wreath. I'm going to take the pine cones first. I usually start with the bigger decorations. So probably the pine cones and the oranges I'll start with first. So I have a little bit of a mix of decorations here, not one specific theme. So just decide where on your wreath you'd like to attach it. Insert the wire through, all the way through, and attach it at the back. I'm going to take an orange, I'm going to pop it there. There's no right or wrong way of where you attach. You can space them out evenly around the wreath, or you know, you can just sort of add them randomly in. Okay, so these stars have already been wired for you. Really, you just stab them in. You don't need to sort of bend them over underneath. Just stab them in like that. And then I've got some baubles as well, which again, some of them you would have wired and some of them are wired for you. Again, just stab it in. Oops. There we go. Okay. Same with the thistles. We should just pop straight in. There we go. You now have your finished wreath, which you can hang on your door to impress your guests over Christmas. You will need to make sure you keep the moss wet, just to keep the foliage fresh and keep it going till the other side of Christmas. So just grab a spray and just spray the moss. Then you can hang it on your door. A couple of options of hanging it. If you've got a door knocker or a nail already in the door, you might just be able to just pop it straight on. You could always create a loop at the top of your wreath to hang it up. We've also got these as well, which are quite useful. So yeah, last of all, I just want to say thank you for your orders. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you're pleased with your wreath.